Boxing has this thing when more modern fighters take on the namesake of an older boxing legend. Few live up to the namesake, but some have pretty solid careers. We're going to look at the top 6 Fighting Joe Gans. The fighting pride of New Orleans, USA, Flairley James, better known as Nubby Joe Gans, is a relatively unknown fighter with a record of 22 wins, 5 losses, and 10 KOs. He also had 5 no-decision bouts. He had a short career by some standards, fighting from 1919 to 1929. At face value, nothing on Nubby's record stands out, but he got his name because he was born with a short right arm and only had a nub or stump for a right hand, featuring only a thumb. Despite such, Nubby Joe Gans did have some success in the boxing ring. This included wins over some of the solid contenders of his time. Orange, New Jersey's Allentown Joe Gans, born Aphilius Hicks, was an underrated middleweight who fought from 1912 to 1932. His record was 56 wins, 16 losses, and 10 draws. He had 25 of his wins come via KO. He also had 25 no-decision bouts and 5 no contests. Gans had a multi-fight rivalry with the great Jack McVeigh between 1923 and 1925. Gans also shared the ring with underrated fighting greats Frankie Shoel and the Hall of Famers Dave Shade and Slapsy Maxie Rosenblum. Allentown Joe Gans faced their fighter regarded as one of, if not the greatest of all time, in former world middleweight champion Harry Greb on June 15, 1926, losing a 10-round decision. Gans also suffered 2 defeats at the hands of the first black world middleweight champion, Theodore Tiger Flowers. Coincidentally, Allentown Joe Gans went 1-1 with Panama Joe Gans and Italian Joe Gans, 2 fighters who come up later on this list. Italian-born Antonio Camberlango took on the Italian Joe Gans moniker, paying homage to the original Joe Gans, carrying the name well. Italian Joe was a fighting machine, amassing a record of 55 wins, 37 losses, and 30 draws. He had 13 KOs. He also had 155 no-decision bouts, fighting mainly at welterweight. Taking the no-decisions into account, Italian Joe Gans fought more than any other Gans on record, including the original Old Master Joe Gans. Italian Joe Gans was able to pick up wins over some good fighters of his era, such as Panama Joe Gans, who you'll see on the list later. He fell short against the majority of the high-level competition that he faced on his resume. This includes former champions and contenders such as Michael Dowd, Soldier Bartfield, Ted Kid Lewis, and Pete Latzo. Italian Joe Gans shared the ring with Panama Joe Gans twice, going 1-1 with him, the first bout which took place on February 6, 1923. This fight also had an agreement that the loser could no longer use the Gans moniker in their name. Italian Joe also went 1-1 with Allentown Joe Gans from 1918 to 1925. Italian Joe Gans never got a world title shot. Don't let the baby in front of his name fool you, as Baby Joe Gans was very much a grown man. Born Gerald Slaughter in El Paso, Texas in 1898, Baby Joe Gans carried the Gans namesake in as good a fashion as the original himself, competing from 1922 to 1937, mainly as a welterweight. Baby Joe Gans amassed a record of 132 wins, 25 losses, and 15 draws. 55 of his wins came via KO. Calm, cool, and collected, Baby Joe Gans was an instinctive fighter with all-around skills. As a tactician, he was excellent and avoided by much of the top competition of his day. Gans did have significant wins on his ledger, including the likes of Sergeant Sammy Baker in a fight that saw each man hit the canvas 10 times in their July 30th 12-round contest. Baby Joe Gans also shared the ring with top-level champions and contenders such as Seferino Garcia, Joe Glick, and Al Manfredo. Despite his greatness, a world title shot eluded Baby Joe Gans. It was also reported that he had to take a dive during the fight. This was likely his March 17, 1933 fight with Bep Van Claveren, with gangsters ordering him to lose or die. Baby Joe Gans lost the fight, left New York, and never returned. This truly disturbed him and affected his love for the sport. Baby Joe Gans would go on to be a very good trainer, working with several of the up-and-coming boxers fighting out of the California area. Originally from Barbados and born Cyril Quinton Jr., Panama Joe Gans showed he was arguably the best middleweight without a world title during his era, fighting from 1915 to 1928. Panama Joe Gans compiled a record of 70 wins, 20 losses, and 7 draws. 45 of his wins came by knockout. He had 33 no decisions and 6 no contests. Panama Joe Gans got the boxing world's attention when on July 8, 1919, he outpointed all-time great middleweight, the Vyond Globetrotter Jeff Smith. Panama Joe went 2-1, securing 2 knockout victories over Theodore Tiger Flowers, who would later become the first black man to win the world middleweight title. He also shared the ring with former light heavyweight champion Mike McTeague. He also beat the great Hall of Fame trainer Jack Blackburn in 1922. He beat Allentown Joe Gans via 12-round decision on December 6, 1921. He faced off with Italian Joe Gans twice, the first being a February 6, 1923 12-round points loss, and the second matchup being a September 19, 12-round points victory over Italian Joe Gans the same year. Panama Joe Gans' greatest achievement during his career was him becoming the colored world middleweight champion, though he undoubtedly deserved more. They often say that nothing is better than the original. In this case, you'd be hard-pressed finding any fighter better than the old master Joe Gans. Gans is routinely mentioned amongst the upper echelon of the sport of boxing. Fighting from 1893 to 1909, the greatest lightweight in boxing history stood out amongst his peers due to his superior boxing ability. His record was 147 wins, 10 losses, and 16 draws. He also had 20 no decisions and 6 no contests. And he also stood out with 101 knockouts during his career. Gans racked up wins over numerous Hall of Famers and has been in with the who's who of the sport. On May 12, 1902, Gans became the first African American to win a world title when he knocked out Hall of Fame lightweight and then reigning champion Frank Earn to pick up the World Lightweight Championship. Gans also had to throw fights at certain points of his career, none more prevalent than his December 13, 1900 contest with Terry McGovern. Despite such setbacks, Gans set a standard that boxing has seldom met through the deep history of the sport. Gans' Hall of Fame career included notable fights with Hall of Famer Battling Nelson, Hall of Famer Harry Lewis, Hall of Famer Sam Langford, Hall of Famer Terry McGovern, Hall of Famer Barbados Joe Walcott, Hall of Famer Young Griffo, Hall of Famer Frank Earn, and also training Hall of Famer Jack Blackburn. He also had wins over top contenders like Kid Herman and Mike Twin Sullivan. The old master Joe Gans was your favorite fighter's favorite fighter during his day. His legacy remains. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.